Good morning. My name is Al Koritz. I'm Applications and Service Manager at Electron Microscopy Sciences. Today I'd like to show you how to set up your EMS 7000 SMZ2 tissue slicer. First, we'll go through all the components that comes in the accessory boxes, and then we'll go through a step-by-step installation of all those accessories required and setting up the unit so you're able to make your first slices of your chosen tissue. First, let's have a look at the items that are on the left-hand side of the main unit. We have a power cord for your local receptacle. In the United States, the system runs on 115 volts, 60 hertz. There's a port on the back of the instrument which allows you to set to your local voltage. I'll show you that in a moment. This is a drain line and clamp which attaches to the outlet of the ice bath which comes with the unit. This is all part of the sample holder assembly. You just simply slip the hose on the fitting and then slip the hose through so it protrudes out the bottom. And this way you can use this as a clamp to prevent melted ice water flowing out unless you want to do so. Normally the stage tray here has the actual specimen holder trough magnetically mounted, and you can slide this back and forth to adjust it to where you want it. This is filled with ice, which negates the expense and complexity of the thermal cooling bath accessory cooling stage. I find that filling this trough with crushed ice and the stainless steel manufacturer of the specimen and buffer holding tray is quite good. You can get the temperatures very low. As the ice melts, you can use this clamp to release the water so you can put more crushed ice in without having a water overflow. This item is a bubbler, so you can attach this to the tray like so and have oxygen bubbled into your buffer solution. I'll show you how this all mounts on the instrument in another segment. In the shipping container, you'll find 4 handles that have a threaded fitting on one end and black plastic handle, and these conveniently screw into the holes that are drilled and tapped on the side of the instrument. The instrument has considerable mass. This is to dampen vibration that is not that actually hampers the quality of your section you're cutting. There's 4 of them. There's 2 on either side. I don't think this requires much more explanation than this. It is best to have, the reason why it's laid out this way with 2 handles on either side, it's best to have a 2-person carry if you're going to move the instrument around. It's really quite massive, and it's really safer for both you and the instrument if 2 people are involved in moving it from place to place. Once the instrument is where you want it, you simply unscrew the handle and you can store it till you need it again. There's a blue accessory box which comes with the instrument. It has all the tools and accessories you need to successfully set up and operate the SMZ2 slicer. I will point out some of these parts now. You will see a closer view of these parts as the video unfolds. First thing that I'll take out and show is this is the Z-axis or easy calibration system that we use for calibrating the Z deflection of the blade. The 7000 SMZ2 has a built-in calibration system to minimize the Z deflection of the knife blade to the submicron level, so you have less damage to the live tissue that you're sectioning. We'll investigate this further later on in the video. Here we just have various tools used in setting up the instrument, some hex drivers, a Phillips head screwdriver. This is a safety device which you can insert the blade and then use the whole holder to install the blade safely or remove the blade safely from the knife holding mechanism, which I'll introduce you to along the way. It's a safety device so you don't cut yourself. A very important item. This is a handling tool for this stage. This allows you to insert or remove the stage from its mounting place in the stainless steel buffer tray. And that is a fixed stage that I just showed you, where the specimen cannot be tilted. This stage comes with another Allen key, which is sort of hidden with it. And this stage, you can loosen the Allen screw and you can tilt the stage to get a better alignment with the tissue you're section and the knife blade. And you can see the holes for the set screws or grub screws to allow you to make that adjustment. Just stick that right there. This is a safety guard which you can put over the entire knife assembly when you have a knife installed. Again, this is a safety feature to prevent you from cutting yourself. And anybody who's done tissue slicers, or have worked with razor blades in the laboratory, accidents do happen. That's to help mitigate that situation. This is the knife holder assembly. And this is just a little notification. On the knife holder assembly, one set of screws is your normal right hand thread. The other one is a left hand thread. It's important that you remember this because if you try to tighten or untighten and you're turning it in the wrong direction, these are very, very small, tiny metric screws that you can see here in this little plastic bag. They're easy to turn the heads off and break, and that's all spare hardware in case you lose or break a screw. So let me remove the knife holder assembly from the bag. A couple of the mounting screws came out, but that's fine. Here's the left-hand thread screw, here's the right-hand thread screw, and you slide the blade underneath, tighten it down using the special blade holder so you can protect yourself from cuts. And this thing will magnetically cover that whole assembly when a knife is installed, so you don't hurt yourself. This assembly mounts to the front of the cutting arm via 3 Phillips screws. 1, 2, and 3 is missing. This set screw, or grub screw, when you loosen this lower screw, allows you to adjust the knife so you can get with the calibration system here. This goes down in there. It vibrates back and forth. This allows you to adjust this screw and the set screw so you can get a minimization of the Z-axis deflection of the knife. More on that later. In the box here, you get the appropriate stainless steel blades that can be used in a knife holder, plus 2 ceramic blades. The ceramic blades really are quite sharp and very durable. I love using them because it allows less damage to the tissue. The stainless steel blades are specially prepared for use with the slicer. The edges are much finer than any of the other blades on the market. These are specially processed. I can link you or send you a PDF of why it's best to use these particular stainless steel blades in your slicer. Also, the holder is meant to hold these blades. You would have trouble installing other types of razor blades or cutting edges. Another important feature that you would notice, Once this is mounted, the blade angle is fixed at the optimum cutting angle. I've been using tissue slicers since 1979. I almost never change the cutting angle, and the 7000 SMZ2 is my personally favorite tissue slicer. This is all optimized to give you the best slices of tissue, well beyond any of the other systems that I've been able to use, including competitive systems. This is what the rear of the unit looks like. There's a cooling fan and cooling vents. There is a warning sticker and label which is over the outlet, and this is to make sure that you set the correct voltage before plugging the system into your wall receptacle. Many times I've seen here in the US that it is inadvertently set at the factory incorrectly. A customer plugs it into 110 volts. The machine is expecting 220 volts or higher, and it doesn't operate. And it's just simply changing the voltage selector switch. Here's a close-up of the voltage selector switch and the mains switch for the unit. And you can see that the 110 to 120 volt is lined up with the triangle. That means that the unit is set to US voltage standards, 110 to 120 volts BAC. If it's in the incorrect position, you can consult the manual, and basically this just pops out and you reverse it and it correctly selects the voltage. But since the voltage is in the correct position already, there's no reason to disassemble that and swap it around for demonstration purposes. On the right hand side of the machine is the port that's used for the OptiCal, which is the device which allows you to minimize the Z-axis deflection of your knife blade by adjusting the knife holder. And the plug is keyed in a particular way, so there's only one way that you can insert it correctly. Thusly, please note on the connector there's a little arrow. I hope you can see that. That aligns with the up position over here, and then the OptiCal gets mounted on the stage, which we will talk about later. Alright, on the front side of the unit, I've now plugged the system into the receptacle and powered the instrument up. Another important thing to recognize is there's an emergency stop button here, and sometimes in shipping that gets depressed and the instrument, even though you flip the switch in the back, will not come on. To reset the power to the instrument, you just rotate the red outer knob of the emergency safety switch or emergency stop switch, and the instrument powers up. We're just going to overview some of the items and not get into the menu in detail. You can assign different users to the processor, to the computer. This way, different people in your lab may have different settings, which is optimal for their use. In this way, those can be stored, and other users can have their own particular settings. Or if you're a solo user, depending on what you're doing, you might have some different settings which you can pre-assign and easily switch back and forth. This is the load bath button, which lowers the stage to its most furthest down position, so you can clear the knife and get the whole stage tray on and off with some ease. This lever right here allows you to slide the ice bath portion onto the unit, and to release it you just pull the lever and it easily slides off. Auto repeat is a function which allows you to do repeat slicing under the same conditions. This way the instrument will automatically serially slice your tissue, and you don't have to press the start or stop button or slice on and off button, which is here. You don't have to return the cutting arm to the rear. This is the advance button. You press to illuminate and it will allow you to set the advance. This will allow you to slew the height of the stage up and down. Some important things to notice is the stage with your tissue is incremented up closer to the blade, which is mounted up here, which I'll show you, and the cutting arm vibrates back and forth at a particular frequency and rate, which you can set in the user panel. The knife holder is mounted to the front of the unit using the supplied screws and screwdrivers. I just leave them sort of loose until I get all three in position. Okay, and once again, we're making these snug. Let's not over tighten them. Just so it is very firmly tightened. And remember that this is a right hand thread screw and this is a left hand thread screw. So when you loosen them, normally in the US it's righty-tighty, so as I turn it to the right it's tightening down on the blade. Turn it to the left, it's loosey, so lefty-loosey. It's a sort of an easy to remember mnemonic. And on this side though, in order to tighten it, you turn it to the left instead of the right. So this is the opposite thread, and this is where you can inadvertently mess up and over tighten the screw by thinking that you're loosening it by turning it to the left, and you can break the head off the screw, and then it takes a little effort to get the remaining part of the screw out of the threads, and this is why we provide spares, not only for that reason but Also, the fact that they're small, and if you drop them on the floor, they may roll into some inaccessible place. Now let's power the system up and take a look at the display and menu areas. So it comes up with a number of users that you can up and down arrow key and select the particular user ID that people assign, either their first name or last name or whatever. Then you press menu, and it gives you the main menu. Might I add that while it's in the user function, all the knobs and buttons are disabled, so you won't be able to use those. So we're gonna go through and have a look at all these different settings. Frequency, amplitude, section thickness, advanced speed. Right now it's in manual slice mode. We'll go through the whole system. Press menu once and it gives you the ability to change the frequency within the given range of the instrument. Press menu again to highlight the whole thing. You can move it down. You can change the amplitude up and down. Within a range inside the manual, there's a chart that shows you a matrix where you can change the amplitude values and frequency values within a particular area. And yes, if you linger too long, it will drop out of menu mode and go into another mode. So here you can increment up and down the section thickness, hit menu again, advances to tens and then to hundreds of microns. We're going to leave that the way it is. The next selection is exit menu. Change user. If you select this, you can change whatever user you were on and go back. Blade alignment is part of the OptiCalc system, which we'll talk about in a little while. Settings gives you LCD brightness and contrast, and whether or not you want the cutting section, the sectioning to stop at the end of the travel or at the beginning of the travel. I leave that at the default auto stop at end, and you can edit the usernames as desired. You can cancel and exit. Exit menu, and then you have about, which tells you what it is, as well as the software revision, the serial number, and the build date. On the front panel we have a number of buttons. Load bath, which will raise and lower the stage to the load or unload position. Auto repeat we'll get to later. This will allows you to cut sections, repeat semi-automatically. What I mean by semi-automatically, you press start, and then when it gets to the end of the cutting window, you press return. Advance will allow you to set a cutting window. Height changes the height of the stage. We'll talk about all that in just a moment. So I will move the camera back a little bit so you can see when I press load stage, it's automatically going to its lowest position so you can load the bath. Now I've sort of preloaded the metal tray and the plastic tray, and that slides in on a dovetail and that locks the stage into place. You also have the option of sliding this a little forward and back, depending on what you want to cut. I have the tilt stage mounted inside the buffer chamber. I have the blade mounted. I'm not going to mount the blade, but I am going to show you what your typical slicer settings are. The stage can now be loaded or unloaded. So now it will return to the home position. You can see it going up, and now the screen comes back to your typical slice mode. So the first thing you want to do is, in completely manual mode, you can select a very, very fine increment in millimeters per second slicing speed. Let's just leave it at 1 millimeters, and press slice, and you can see that the cutting head is oscillating and the cutting arm is moving forward. It will go to the end of its natural travel. There's limit switches inside which limit how far it could go. By now, of course, we would have cut through whatever was on the stage. When it comes to the end in manual mode, press return. The arm returns and the stage increments up, in this case 200 microns, the way I have it set. One of the beautiful features about this is you're not leaking saline buffer into the hardware of your instrument, thus protecting its life. Systems that have some sort of feed through which pushes the stage up through the bath are notoriously prone to leakage, and the salts damage the hardware underneath. So that was a simple manual slice. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to turn the advanced button on. I am going to adjust the advanced speed to 2 millimeters per second, and I am going to start slice. You notice it is not vibrating. All I'm doing is I moved it forward to my starting cutting position, because if you're using a mouse brain or something, this is a large platform, you don't want to waste time going back and forth. So you bring the knife blade close to the front edge of the tissue that you're cutting. You press slice, it brings it forward. You press slice again, it stops it. You turn the advanced light off, and that will set the rear cutting window. So now you can hit slice, and we're still in manual mode, so we have to make it advance. It will go to all the way to the end of the cutting stroke, or whenever you stop it. So for brevity, I stopped it here. So now when I press return, it will go back to the beginning of the cutting stroke, increase another 200 micron, the green light comes back on, we press slice, and now it will automatically slice through the brain and stop at that point at which we stopped it before. Okay, so this is semi-automatic mode. And again, it advances the stage up 200 microns. So now we're going to put it in auto repeat mode. Once we've set a cutting window, it won't accept it until you do those steps that I just showed you on how to do a starting cutting window and an ending cutting window. And now if you press slice, we have to set an advanced speed here, so let's set it to 1 millimeter per second. It will go all the way forward to the end of the cutting stroke at which you set and stop, and you can fish out your brain section or whatever you're cutting and move it to a separate container. Press return. And now press slice and raise your advanced speed again. Okay, now I'm going to stop it here and hit return. And notice now it keeps the advanced speed, so it will automatically do this time and time again until you've completely sectioned through your tissue, and then you would hit load bath and lower it, and you put the guard over the knife. So it will reach the end of the cutting window. Hit return. And away we go. Now if you hit this again, you can hit auto repeat, and with the up and down arrow keys, you can slice at that preset speed up to 99 sections, and it will automatically repeat this profile again and again until you stop it. And of course, it's never a good idea to leave a cutting instrument running unattended, but this allows you to automate the cutting function of the machine and fish out your section and move it to a proper container. Like our net wells, which are used for free-floating section staining, you can find those in the catalog. So this will continue to go until it completes the number of cycles that you pre-entered. And if for any reason you want to stop, you hit stop. It says slices halt. Press slice to continue, return to abort. So we're going to abort. And we're going to shut auto repeat off. And now we're going to hit load bath. And you have to hold it. And now display is moving to the bath load position. You can see the stage going down. The arm will retract. And now you can easily remove the bath and tray and remount the sample.